In this video I'll show you how to mark out where a broken bit of plasterboard is, cut it out, install some new timbers, cut a new piece of plasterboard, install that new piece, and then tape it up and plaster it ready for painting. Hi guys, Bradamckinnon here. I'm an interior plasterer from New Zealand, and if you've got a hole in the wall that needs patching, then follow along in this video and I'll show you the full process of cutting it out, repairing it and plastering it ready for painting. So you see here we've got a bit of an indentation in the wall, something's crashed into it and pushed it sort of through, and what I'm doing now is just I'm feeling through the hole, seeing if there's any timbers in there which I can utilize and cut to. I can't feel anything, so I'm going to just sort of feel around. When you got broken plasterboard, it's all loose, you can feel the loose plaster in between the paper, so you want to cut all that out. So what I'm doing there is I'm just finding where it's strongest, and I'm going to use my level, get nice straight lines. If you get your lines nice and straight, it just makes life a lot easier for cutting the new piece. So we've got our lines there, and we're just going to cut it out with a knife. Using a knife is a lot tidier, but if you wish to use a multi-tool you can. Just make sure you wear a dust mask and some safety goggles. But we'll just cut that out with a standing knife. It's pretty easy. Plasterboard's pretty soft with a sharp blade, and it doesn't take long at all to get through. You just want to cut right into your corners, right through, so you're not breaking any board as you pull it out, and it should just pop out. You can see there's no timbers anywhere, so we're going to have to install timbers for the new piece to fix to. But you can see the old piece there, how it's been pushed in from the front, and what happens is it all breaks on the back, so that's why we had to make sure we're well clear of all that broken stuff. And we're just going to tidy up those edges, feel inside the wall, you want any loose bits taken off, and then we're just going to cut that sort of front edge just on a slight angle. And I'm just going to get some sort of heavy grit sandpaper, I think it's 100 grit I'm using, and just scuff up that painted surface. It'll just make, when you're using your plaster, it'll just adhere to it a bit better. So we've got some timbers here, just anything sitting around, and we're just going to mark it. Just want it a bit bigger than the hole, so you can screw above and below and then down the side. So that was just a bit of 4x1 lying around, and we're just going to hold that in place and screw it through the plasterboard and into the timber, then just run some screws up the side as well. And the only other bit of timber I could find was this 4x3, which is, it's a bit overkill, but it's fine. Just screw it in, and that'll just give it a bit of strength, and that'll hold the new piece in really well. So just 3 screws up the side, then one up the top and one at the bottom. And instead of, what you can do, you can just measure your opening and measure it onto the new piece and cut that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the piece I cut out, and I'm just going to hold it onto the new bit of board and mark around it. I just had to check which way it went in there first, and I put that little arrow at the top, so now I know that was the top, so it's going in the same way as the old one. And then cutting plasterboard's pretty simple. Just run your knife down the face and snap it, and then cut the back of it, and you can just trim it up where it needs to be trimmed up, so it slides in there perfectly. If it doesn't quite fit, just give it a trim up with a knife, or if you've got a surf form or rasp, and just give that a bit of a trim up there until it fits nice and snug. Then we're just going to screw that off. You just want to make sure you get all those little dangly bits on the edges off, so that new piece is sitting back flush with the existing wall. And if you just get all this sort of process right, It'll just help when you're doing your plastering. Just a bit of sandpaper there just to clean up any edges, give everything a tidy up, keep your work area nice and clean. Then we're just going to apply some pre-mixed multi-purpose compound over the joint, and we're going to put our tape in. I'm using a fibre fuse tape, you can use a paper tape if you like. And then we're just going to hold that tape while we press it into the compound. And I like to do my two opposites at the same time. And I'm not going to overlap the tape at all. I'm just going to have the tape sitting flush to each other. Then we're just going to go right over that tape with compound, so the tape's embedded into the compound. And we're going to leave that dry. And once that's dry, we can come back and give it a scrape. And a little tip here, if you're plastering over a painted surface, you'll find you'll get air bubbles. So to avoid that, just do a real tight skim. So put the plaster on and take it all off, really nice and tight. And you're just going to let that set up for 2-3 minutes. And we're going to come back and we're just going to hit it with our trowel, give it a nice filler coat, and then that'll avoid getting any air bubbles. So a nice filler coat over the whole lot, and then just clean off any edges. Want to get it as smooth as you can. And again, we're going to let that dry, come back and give that a scrape. Then we're just going to do a real tight coat again. That's going to be our finished coat. And that's it. Then it'll be all ready for sanding once that's dry. So a nice simple process for patching a hole in a wall. Hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Please subscribe if you're not. Hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.